A pandemic of violence floods the streets of major cities as cases of the media-dubbed murder virus, MV20, soar, causing those infected to go on killing sprees. Caught in the middle, police detective Angela Miller finds her only trustworthy ally in the self-proclaimed psychic PI, Gerald Henry. As the two try to navigate the violence, they are drawn into New Age guru Abramelin Harvest's plot to heal the planet. Harvest's missive:
the world is sick, and humanity is the infection.
The cure: murder. From the twisted mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires and Shadowplay Book 1, Kim and Jesse, comes his most vicious novel yet, Murder Virus. Available where books are sold.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. I'm Sean.
I am Arthritic Anthony.
And this is going to be a short, succinct, they mean basically the same thing almost, but this is going to be a very short, spoiler-free reaction review to Lee Cronin's Evil Dead Rise. Anthony, you just got out of the theater. I saw it last night. What did you think?
I think it was a film about a book. And fuck, where do I even start with this thing?
Did you like it?
I didn't hate it. Not really.
So let me ask you a question. Do you feel, and by saying this, I'm revealing that this is how I'm feeling, that you held it to a standard set by Fede Alvarez's 2013, and it didn't make it, so it is suffering, in your opinion, because of it?
100%. And it's the
Yeah.
first thing I said as soon as the film ended was the 2013 one was better. I was expecting a certain level of, I was expecting a certain caliber to be held, and it wasn't. I think it did its best as far as practical effects and gore and whatnot. I don't think that that's something that hurt the film at all. But there are a handful of things that happen in it that are supposed to, I guess, in a way, hearken to the older films to introduce comedy elements that do not work here, like whatsoever. And I think that's what I enjoyed about the 2013 film so much, is the huge, departure where it's like, okay, we're getting away from horror comedy stuff here, and we're actually going to do a straight horror film with really intense gore and great acting, honestly, because everybody acted their asses off on that film. And it's not to say that the lead actress or lead deadite in this film didn't do a good job, but I felt she was the only one who did a good job as far as playing, dual roles between her human and deadite role. And everybody else was just kind of fucking whatever, like it was just it was a bit of a mess.
I want to ask you specifically because, so what comedy? I don't know that I picked up any comedy elements. So what? And I'm not refuting what you're saying. I'm just curious. What did you get in this that was like an attempted comedy, in your opinion?
There were two kills in particular that that led to like really hard eye roll moments. I can't say them here because we're not
okay. No, fair enough. But I mean, there was no, just for the viewer or for the listeners, I don't feel like there was any comedy insofar as like what you would think of. Like, you don't get like Campbell, like, we just cut our girl, you know, you don't get anything like that, or like the scene where he's laughing and the mirror's laughing. You don't get anything like
Yeah.
Army of Darkness. There's no Three Stooges elements, although there is a clip of the Three Stooges on the TV at one point that I thought was
Yeah.
kind of
Let
funny.
me rephrase that then. Let me rephrase that then and not say comedy elements and replace that word with camp. There's elements of
Okay.
camp to it.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
I
there's
would agree
elements
with
of
that.
camp in it that do not. That's the thing. I can't say they
No,
do or
no,
don't.
dude,
Do or don't
that's
belong to
enough.
the series because it flops around back and forth. But
No, that is enough in that. So I was aware the entire time I was comparing it, and I don't think it's a fair comparison. I think it's only natural because, you know, Evil Dead 2 is such a high watermark for me. The way I rank the movies before this one would be it's Evil Dead 2, then it's Fede's, and then it's the original Evil Dead, and then it's Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is a classic. I don't really watch it that much. It's fun, but to me, it's almost like a different thing. So, when 2013 came out and nobody knew who Fede Alvarez was really, and you know, it had such, like, how is he going to possibly do this, right? And like, it helped that, like, even though 90% of the people out there that don't like it are like, oh, it's a fucking remake. It's not a remake. All Tappert, Raimi, Campbell all said repeatedly in the run up and after that movie, this movie isn't a remake. It's another door the Necronomicon opens. And still people are like, it's a fucking remake. It's not a remake. So I mean, that's just people being stupid and fucking lazy and just assuming because there were all these other remakes going on that was one too. When right out, I mean, the one thing you can say about Evil Dead Rise that you can say about 2013 is Raimi, Tappert, and Campbell's fingerprints are all over, you know, those movies, and I think it's a really good thing. So while Fede wrote and directed 2013, and Lee Cronin wrote and directed this one, they're doing it under the umbrella of the overseers, the people keep it, you know, that are responsible. So everybody, it's not like it's Michael Bay taking it from the original people and doing whatever the fuck Michael Bay wants to do with it. It's still in-house, right? So these people that are doing these movies are vetted and approved by the originals. Now, 2013 was such a like amazing experience in the theater because we didn't know if we were going to love it or hate it, and to love it and not only love it, I mean, I still love it. It still blows me away every time I watch it.
Agreed.
And it's the thing that this movie does not have. And I don't know that it's fair to compare this. And I think maybe after some time has passed, my reading on it will be a little bit different. Not to say I did like it, but I had trouble with it. And I really think the thing with, there's one moment in Fede Alvarez's that is bleh, and it's at the very beginning when the brother shows up and there's like a bit of exposition. I believe it comes out of Maya's mouth where she's like, well, you're my brother, or however she says it, but it's so like, yeah, I got it. You didn't need to say it. Other than that,
yeah,
that movie is so elegant in the way it sets everything up. It introduces you to the characters, the premise, their situation, and then we get right into it. And I'm not the kind of person that needs to, like, I need blood and guts in the first 10 minutes. But this movie, I felt like, and Kirsten said the same thing. I said, I felt like the pacing was weird at the beginning. Like it took a long time to get going. And she's like, no, I totally felt that. So there was that. Would you agree with that?
I literally said aloud, get to the fucking point at one point during the viewing. So yeah, exactly. I did. And then once it did, and it didn't introduce that element of camp that I was talking about before, which I won't say here. I literally flipped off the screen. I said, "Get the fuck out of here with this!" Like, there's not. I can't get into it, you know, and I don't want to tear the film apart completely because it does have some merit in it. But I'm starting to question the judgment of the gatekeepers at this point.
Right.
And I'm starting to question whether or not, you know, they're in tune to what's going on anymore. If they're so just, you know, so far up their own asses because of who they are and what they've started that
I don't
they
think
have
that's the
no
case.
I'm starting. It's just one of those things where it's like now I'm starting to see if that's the case here for me, in my opinion.
Right? No, I get it. You know, I could be wrong too. I don't think that's the case. What I think is, because now there was a something on Bloody Disgusting a few days ago where I guess I think it was Campbell was saying like they want to start doing a new one every couple years. So if that's the case, I'm just gonna say there's certain things in this movie like it definitely spent a lot. I felt it spent too much time giving us Easter like oh that's from the original. Like there were just certain
Of
things,
course.
right? And I don't need every homage under the sun. And it's one of the things like Fede's didn't really do that. There were a few, but not really. This one did. There were so many. There is a moment that I fucking love that was a total homage, but I thought it was just like I was like, oh my god, that's fucking awesome. But other than that, there were too many for my tastes, and I don't want every subsequent movie to just be an homage machine. And also, it the way this ends, it reiterates certain images from Fede's. And I said to Kirsten, if each like they're gonna have to not do this again, or the next one will just be like, okay, well, there's no point anymore. These images that are sacred are now ruined because if it just becomes like, oh, it's always going to be, this at the end of the movie, these images, then, but I don't think that's the case. I think it was just a little bit too, it's been 10 years. He was a little bit too concerned with, okay, we want to come back and like be sure to kind of like trigger certain homage and nostalgia. And then I think they'll move on with the next one. I really hope so, because it just can't be the same thing over and over again. Fede's is not the same thing as the things that came before. So we need something different.
So in that statement, and having heard what they were talking about as far as doing a new film every couple of years, I'm like, well, this has to be something like The Silver Coin, where it's just the book is just a catalyst to some catastrophic event that happens. Doesn't always have to be Deadites. Can be any number of horrible things that happen, and it could still be called an Evil Dead movie, or just it's Tales of the Necronomicon or what have you. But that's kind of one of the things that I was thinking is like this formula you can only insert into so many different settings. So of course in this one we have it in a city high rise, and I'm like, okay, well you're basically out of options at this point. Like where else are you going to go with this, and how many times are you going to try to reiterate the same thing? I think you really would have to change up stories, and actually again as gatekeepers open the gates to other storytellers to come in and give different interpretations, not of the same thing, but of think bigger picture and think broader spectrum of horrific events that could happen, not involving Deadites. That's just kind of where I see that going. If that is going to be the case, because I don't know if I want to see what I saw today again. I don't.
I agree, and like I think you bring up an interesting point, because I found myself thinking in the aftermath of seeing it, along the same lines. Like, okay, we had Fede did the cabin again, and then Lee Cronin does this high rise, which basically there were a lot of similarities to both Demons 2 and REC. Which is fine, but I mean, they kind of did their own thing with it. And there's I loved a lot of the imagery based around the building, so it's fine. And I actually really liked the cast. I thought the mother like did a great job. There were so many things I didn't know going in, because I'd literally seen nothing other than the one trailer that they play 1,000 fucking times, which did a really good job of like not telling you a lot, although I feel like it ruins some of the imagery because I've seen it so many times going to the movies. I mean, there was a point last month where I don't know what I went to see twice, two visits to the local theater. I got up and left the room when the trailer started because I was like, this is ridiculous, man. Come on. I mean, I've seen it before every fucking movie, and whatever. But my mileage is very low. It varies for people with trailers, and mine's low because you just see something over and over again, and it zaps it of all. You have a favorite song. If you listen to it every if you listen to it 1,000 times over the course of like 2 days, it's not really going to be that impactful anymore, is it? Because you've kind of sucked the life out of it. So, but I found myself thinking along the lines of what you're saying, where it's like, why not something in the fucking future? Why not something in the past? Like, show me. I mean, I'd prefer not the past. Dude, just like Silvercoin. Imagine him doing something like Silvercoin did, where it's like somebody in the fucking future finds the. That'd be nuts. That's what we need to do, or we, as if that's what I feel like they need to do to keep this from getting stale. And again, like I did enjoy it, but I just was so holding 2013's up the whole fucking time, So, and I just couldn't get. I kept trying. Kept thinking like, just let go of it and experience this for what it is. Although it didn't help that by the end I was seeing some of the same imagery. So I was like, oh well, anyway, I don't know. I would definitely say people should go see it. It's still fun. It's still an Evil Dead movie. This is like being my least favorite Evil Dead movie is like, I don't know what's being, like they say, pizza's still pizza, which isn't exactly true if you're from Chicago, but along those same lines, like like even the worst hamburgers maybe still, well, that's probably not true either. But anyway, whatever. You get what I'm saying. So I don't know. What else? Any other thoughts, comments, threats, observations?
I mean, I'm not saying don't go watch it. I'm not saying that the entire film isn't enjoyable. I'm saying it's going to be a bit of a challenge with some pacing issues towards the beginning of the film and even towards the center part of the film. If you can get through that, you'll enjoy a fun-filled third act. With that being said, I don't think there's a lot to say about it anyway. Horror fans are going to go watch this because of
of course.
Like I don't have to say anything. That's why the movie got made. That's why the movie's in the theater. It's got its own built-in audience. That's just going to happen. I don't have to say go watch it or don't.
Right.
I just think that there's some things you should be prepared for.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not going to move as quickly as 2013. And if you're willing to put in the work, I guess it will pay off for you if what you want to see is fountains of red, and you'll get there. Get there, but not my cup of tea as far as the film went, though. So I mean, that's just me, and there are people that would slap me in the face for saying that 2013 is better than fucking Army of Darkness or any of that other shit, and that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And if you've got any you got anything to say, you can say it to my face. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't.
I'll put out a Zoom link right now so they can just
click on. Say to my face. Nah, but yeah, it's not my favorite. I mean, sure, support it. More will get made, but it sounds like there's already plans to make more anyway. So again, I don't really have to say it because the machine's already moving. So
yeah, let's put it. I will say, like, they released a clip a week or two ago of it was a premiere. It looked like the Egyptian, but I think the Egyptian's still not up and running in LA. But it was a premiere in LA, and Campbell and Tappert and Raimi were all there. And it was a clip of somebody, a theater goer, a viewer, interrupting them while they're being interviewed. And he's yelling, "This movie fucking sucks." And then finally Campbell's like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Fuck you, get the fuck out." So I don't feel like that guy. I mean, I wouldn't do that anyway. But I didn't think the movie sucked. Again, like, I definitely say, if you like Evil Dead, go see it. But like you said, Anthony, I feel like people need to be... Look, if you hated 2013 because Bruce Campbell's not in it and it's not what, then you're not going to like this. So don't even bother. But if you liked 2013 and you're willing to let the Ash stuff be the Ash stuff and move on and see other, stories with the Necronomicon at the heart of them, then I think you just need to know, I just don't think it's as good as 2013. And again, it's maybe an unfair comparison, but like you said, people should know because they might walk in. I mean, it felt like there were even some punches pulled with the violence where I was like, oh man, I felt like they would have went for that. Like there's still, I've seen 2013, I don't know how many times, there's still a moment with the blonde girl where she's got the tire iron and the nail gun, where like I always end up watching part of it like through my fingers. I'm like, oh god, it's just so fucking intense. There's not a single fucking scene in this movie that does that.
Yeah.
And that disappointed me a little bit. Because I
Nothing made
expected
me
there to be one.
wince. Yeah,
No.
nothing made me wince in this movie.
No.
Nothing.
I
And even
mean,
even the one that they're hyping up in the trailer doesn't make you wince. It didn't make me wince anyway. So
what's the one in the trailer?
the cheese grater.
Yeah, that was, man, I thought that was going to be a little bit more wincing.
Yeah.
Because I winced in the trailer, but I didn't, and I don't know,
Mm.
whatever.
Mm.
Okay. We'll stop and we'll talk about it off the recording. Okay, so that's our, I guess not that succinct, spoiler-free review of Lee Cronin's Evil Dead Rise. So for the Horror Vision Horror Podcast, I'm Sean.
I'm Anthony.
And pretty sure we'll all be dead by dawn. So, dead by dawn. Dead by